Alright, so for today's video, what we're going to do is we're just going to go over the assignment from, the last day or two. Um, and we're just going to go over the answers because I think some of you guys are getting very, very close to the final answer, but you're not actually getting the final answer. So we're going to start with number one, okay? And I'm just going to X this off. Alright, so number one, we have 8x squared minus 30x minus 27. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write it up in the bigger spot. I'm going to write it over here. 8x squared minus 30x minus 27. All right, so I'm going to use swing method. For all these problems, I'm going to do swing method, which is the first method. If you like it the other way, that's fine. Just make sure you're checking your answers. So for the swing method, I'm going to take my 8 and I'm going to swing it to the back and we're going to multiply it. So I get x squared minus 30x minus, and then I'm going to use my calculator over here. I'm going to do 27 times 8. And I get 216. Now, I know this is a large number, and a lot of you guys emailed me about, we haven't worked with numbers that large. That's okay. Don't, get nervous or scared with large numbers. I know that you know how to multiply by 216 or figure out numbers that divide into 216. So, for this problem, right, we're at this step, we're going to treat it just like before. We're going to find two numbers that multiply to get me negative 216, but add to get me negative 30. Well, if I want something to multiply to get me negative 216 and add to get me negative 30, I need to remember that one of the numbers has to be negative and one of the numbers has to be positive. So for this problem, yes, obviously you can name every list, right? You can start going, all right, let's go 216. We can start with 2 and figure out, okay, well, let's do 2 and 108. And then keep going with the opposite version of it. 216 divided by 3. Okay, positive 3, negative 72, or we can use negative 3, positive 72, and you're just going to keep listing these out. Yes, I want you to keep listing them out, but for time purposes, okay, I would like to just jump ahead and say, okay, we're going to start doing guessing. So we're going to start saying, all right, what about if I divide it by, let's go 8, okay? 8 and 27, is there any possible way, right, with 8 and 27 that I can combine them somehow, either one of them being positive or one of them being negative, that we can get a negative 30? There is not. So we start doing kind of like something called guess and check, where we start taking the number and we just start guessing numbers to see if it actually matches both of these. So we start doing 216 divided by 12. All right, 12 and 18. Now, I totally agree. If we would combine this, it would get us a positive 30. But remember, we need to get negative 216 and negative 30, which means one of these has to be negative. Doesn't work. What about if I made this one negative? Combine them together. Does not make 30. So we know that this can't be the answer. And we keep doing guess and check. If you don't like guess and check, it's okay. List out all the multiples. Start with 1, start with 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 blah. Okay, doesn't matter to me. 216 divided by 18. We already figured it out. 216 divided by, let's go, 6. Yes. So that's the winner. Okay, 6 and 36. Now, remember, one of them has to be negative. So if I make this one negative and I try combining these, right, adding them together, I get a positive 30. So that's not what we want, but we're so, so close. What about if we made this the negative? When we combine them, right, we get a negative 30, which is what we want. So here is our answers, 6 and negative 36. So we put in a set of parentheses, right? X plus 6, and then x minus 36. Okay. So, is this right? This is totally, yes, this is right. Okay. Just want to check my answer. 216 divided by 36 totally gives me 6. All right, good. So, now that we have them in a set of parentheses, okay, what we need to do is, well, first of all, this is where a lot of you stopped. A lot of you stopped at this step, and I'm going to go with no. You cannot stop at this step. Why? Because that only gets you here, right? It only puts you at this spot. And that was not our original problem. Our original problem says 8x squared minus 30x minus 27. We made it easier by doing the swing method, but this should not be your final answer. Your final answer needs to be divided by 8. Why? Because you originally multiplied by 8, so now you need to divide by 8. Okay, I'm going to move over a little bit. I'm going to move up here so that we have a little bit more room. So if you can't reduce nicely, okay, we're going to try to just reduce the fraction. So 6 over 8 reduces to 3 over 4. And this one, 36, does not divide easily by 8. So we need to start reducing the fraction. So I can do x minus 36. 36 divided by 4 gets me 9. So we do 9 over 2. Okay. Yes. So now in this part of the step, since we don't get a nice whole number, we need to swing our denominators out in front. So we get 4x plus 3 and 2x minus 9. This should be your answer. This is the one that you should be circling, boxing, starring, whatever. Okay? How do we know? Because when I check my answer by foiling, I should get back to my original problem. And when I do this, I get 4x squared times 2x, which gets me, 4x times 2x, which gets me 8x squared. 4x times negative 9, which gets me negative 36. Sorry, what was I doing? 4x times negative 9 gets me, negative 36x. 3 times 2x gets me a positive 6x. Positive 3 times negative 9 gets me negative 27. Combine our middles. I'm running out of space, so I'm just going to erase it. Combine our middles, and I get an answer of negative 30x. Is that my original equation? It is. So that's how we know this one is my answer. This is not my answer. So make sure your answer has numbers out in front of your x's for these problems, for numbers like this. Okay, I know that was a lot. So let's try number 2. Okay, number 2. 9x squared minus 68x plus 84. Swing the 9 to the back. I get x squared minus 68x plus 9 times 84 gets you 756. I know, big numbers. So we need to find two numbers that multiply to get me 756, but then add to get me negative 68. So again, I'm going to start using guess and check. You can start listing out multiples of, 756 divided by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just going to start making guesses. 756 divided by 12. 12 and 63 cannot combine to get me that. So we just keep guessing. I know, it sounds crazy, but you literally just keep guessing. Ooh, I think I found it. 14 and 54. Now here's the problem. When I multiply them together, I do get a positive. But when I add them together, I get a positive 68, and that's not what we want. But we're super close. So think about how we could possibly multiply to get me a positive 756, but add to get me a negative 68. Here's our winner, right? Negative 14 times negative 54. So this is our winner, 14 and 54. X minus 14, X minus 54. Again, this is not my final answer. Well, how do I know? Because if I FOIL this out, it doesn't get me back to this spot. So what we need to do is remember that if we did the swing method, we originally swung 9 to the back. We need to now divide by 9. Okay. 14 and 9 do not get me a nice fancy number, ugly number. So we have to reduce the fraction. We reduce the fraction by doing x minus... It doesn't actually combine. It doesn't actually reduce, so we just leave it the same. Okay. But for this one, 54 divided by 9 does get me a nice number. I get x minus 6. Remember, if you can't reduce and you can't make it into a nice number, we're going to take that denominator and we swing it out in front. So it becomes 9x minus 14 and x minus 6. This one is my answer. How do I know? Because if I FOIL it, I get back to here. I get back to my original. I get back to 9x squared combine our middles, and I know that this is my answer. So this right here should be what my answer is, not this part. I know it gets confusing and it's time consuming. You notice how long this is taking. It's okay to be a little stumped for a few minutes and have to work for, I don't know, maybe a half hour. It's crazy. But sometimes math does not come easy. All right, we're going to do a third one. Right, 6, swing it to the back. 6 times 30 gets me 180, so we get p squared plus 29p plus 180. Start thinking of multiples that give us, that multiply to get me 180, but add to get me 29. So I start doing guess and check. I do 180 divided by 18, 18 and 10. Does that add to get me 29? It does not. We're close. We're at 28, but not 29. So we gotta keep going. 180 divided by, let's try 12. 12 and 15. Does that add to get me 29? No. Close. Divided by 14. Nope. So you notice how I am doing what you should be doing is just trying it. Try problems. Try different problems. Try all different kinds of things. 15 and 12, we already did that one. 18, 19, 20. 20 and 9. Okay. And this is our winner, so we know that we got the winner. 20 and 9. I'm going to erase this just for my own space because I do write big. 20 and 9. Okay. Remember, we originally swung that 6 to the back, so we now need to divide by 6. Reduce our fractions. We get x plus 10 over 3, x plus 3 over 2. And then if we can't reduce anymore, we swing our denominators out in front and we get 3x plus 10, 2x plus 3. And we know this is the answer because when we FOIL it, we get back to this equation, our original worksheet equation. So I FOIL it. Yes, I'm doing this fast, but it's because I've had a ton of practice of this. All I did was f, okay, 3x times 2x, which gets me 6x squared. O, outside, 3x times 3, which gets me 20, I switched to letters, but it's okay. I did 10x times 2x, which gets me 20x. O, which 3x times 3 gets me 9x. And then L, 10 times 3, which gets me 30. And I should always be able to combine my middles because they're both just plain x's. When we combine them, it gets me a positive 29x. And notice that is our original equation. So we know this is our right answer. Okay. Number 4. 4p squared plus 7p minus 36. Swing method 4. Swung to the back. Leaves me p squared plus 7p minus 144. We need to find two numbers that multiply to get me negative 144, but add to get me 7. So we start thinking of multiples of 144. Well, the most obvious one I can think of is 12. Is there any possible way that I can get that to add up to be 7? No. Remember, with negatives, one of these has to be a negative. Okay, just remember that. 144 divided by, let's try 6. 6 and 24. If this one's negative, that doesn't work. If this one's the negative, it does not work. So nope, that can't be it either. We just keep guessing and checking. It's okay to keep guessing and checking. 14? Nope, doesn't work. 16, 16 and 9. Let's see, if this one was a negative, combined we get a negative 7, right? So we're close, but we want a positive 7. So the only little thing we gotta change, we make that a negative, right? Multiplied together, we get a negative 144, check. Add it together, we get a positive 7, check. Winner. 16 and negative 9. So I write them in parentheses, x plus 16, x minus 9. Now, remember, we originally swung the 4. We originally multiplied by 4, so now we need to divide by 4. This gets us a nice number. This does not get us a nice number, and we can't reduce that anymore, so we're just going to take this denominator and swing it out in front. We know that this is an answer. How do we know this is our answer? Because if we were to check our work, if we were to FOIL, we would get this answer. And we're going to try it. X times 4x gets, x times 4x gets me 4x squared. O outside, x times negative 9 gets me negative 9x. I inside, 4 times 4x gets me, just kidding. Gets me 16x. And then L last, 4 times negative 9 gets me negative 36. Combine our middles, 16 minus 9 gets me 7x. Is this what I have? Yes, it is. Okay. Whew. All right, number 5. 10n squared plus 21n minus 108. Swing, swing. Yes, I'm slowly going crazy. Okay, when we do 108, just to verify that I did this right, we multiply by 10, I get 1080. Big, big, big numbers, okay? 1080. So I start guessing and checking. 1080, let's say, divide by 20. Okay, 20 and 54, and what do we want it to be added up to? Remember, we want it to add up to be 21. Yeah, I did that right. Okay. We wanted to add it up to be 21. How can that be? Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Why am I drawing a blank? Okay. Let's take a break on that one. Let's go actually to this one, and then I'll go back to that one. Maybe I'm just having a brain fart with that one. So let's do 6. Okay, we got 12m squared plus 89m plus 154. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to swing. Okay, 12 times 154. M squared plus 89m plus 1848. Yes, big numbers. So we need to find two numbers that multiply to get me 1848, but then add to get me 89. So we're going to start doing some guess and check. We divide by, I don't know, 8. Okay, 8 and 231. Does that add to get me 89? It does not, so we know we need to go much, much, much higher. 1848. We start dividing by 24. 24 and 77. Does that add to get me 89? It does not. So we just keep guessing and checking. Let's try 16. Nope, doesn't come out to be a nice number. What is it? 1848 divided by 22. Okay, that's another possibility. 22 and 84 does not add to get me 89. Six, 28 and 66, but when you add them together, does not get me 89, but we're getting closer. You just keep guessing, right? Keep guessing and checking. Divided by 28, what did I try? 28, 32. Nope. Divided by 42. 42 and 44. 42 and 44. So 42 and 44 do add to get me 88. So we know that this has to be the winner. 42 and 44. Just erasing this for my space. Okay, so remember, we originally multiplied by 12, so now we need to divide by 12, okay? 42 does not evenly go into 12, so we have to try to reduce it. Okay, try reducing it. Let's do 42 divided by 12. 7. 2. Yep, I'm actually working this out. Alright, so we're going to divide both the top and the bottom by 6. So we get x plus, what was 42 divided by 6 again? 7. 7 over 2. Yes, 7 over 2. Good. And then 44 does not evenly go into 12. So then we have to try to figure out how can I reduce this fraction. Well, both of them go into, let's see, they both go into 6. No, they don't go into 6. They go into 4 evenly. So we're going to divide both the top and the bottom by 4, which gets us 11 over 3. Remember, if we cannot reduce our fractions anymore, we need to swing the denominators out in front. So we do this. We get 2x plus 7. And we get 3x plus 11. And we know that this has to be an answer because, I know, if we FOIL, we should get back to our original problem. So we get 6x squared plus 22x 21x plus 77. We did something wrong. What did we do wrong? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Alright, so how do we know we did something wrong? I like that I don't like that I did this, but I like that I made a mistake on camera because notice our last number is 77 and that's not what we have here. So we know that we made a mistake. So let's try to find our mistake now, okay? Let's go back to the original, okay? Always go backwards. Try to go backwards. Sometimes it's just easier to go backwards. Alright, so is this true? Are those two numbers, when we add them together, they get me 86, and that's not what I want, so I know that I made a mistake here. That was my mistake. Okay. I was trying to look for two numbers that multiply to get me 1848, but add to get me 89, and that was not it. I said 42 and 46. I think I said 14. 42. I said 42 and 44, and that does not add to give me 89. You guys all should have screamed at me. That does not add to give me 89, but I'm close. So let's try 46. Nope. 56 and 33. Let me just check my math before I make another mistake on camera. This does add to get me 89, so here's our winner. Okay, so it's okay to make mistakes. Just make sure you always correct and check your answers. So we get 56 and we get x plus 33. Okay, for all my space I need to erase this. Alright, now back to our problem. Remember we originally multiplied by 12, now we need to divide by 12. 56 does not go into 12 evenly, so we need to reduce this fraction. Alright, we figure out, okay, 56 can divide by, I think, 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce by dividing both the top and the bottom. Divide both the top and the bottom by 4. So we get x plus 14 over 3. Okay. And 33 divided by 12 does not give me a nice number, so we need to reduce. So we try dividing both the top and the bottom by 3 to get x plus 11 over 4. I think hopefully this will get us a good number. Okay, now we need to take our denominators, we need to swing them out in front. So we get 3x plus 14, 4x plus 11. Hopefully this got the right answer. How do we know this is our right answer? We need to FOIL. So we get 3x times 4x, which gets me 12x squared. 3x times 11, which gets me 33x. 14 times 4, which gets me 56x. And 14 times 11 gets me 154. Whew, I feel like I'm better on track because I have my two outside numbers, and we should be able to combine these. Let's try combining them to get us 89. So we know that we're on the right. We know that this has to be our correct answer. Okay, so this one, after a very long time, we know that this is our correct answer. Okay, almost there. Let's go back to this one that I said to skip originally. Let's try going back to it. We have 10n squared plus 21n minus 108. Okay, we are going to multiply. So we get n squared plus 21n minus 1080. So we need to find two numbers that multiply to get me a negative 180, but add to get me 21. Okay, that means that if we want something to multiply to get me a negative, but then add to get me a positive, that means that one of my numbers has to be negative and one of my numbers has to be positive. So just keep that in mind when we're doing our test. Okay, so 1080. 1080, we start trying to do anything we could possibly do. So I'm just going to start out with 20. Okay, 20 and 54. 20 and 54. If I make this negative when we combine them, okay, 54 minus 20, we do not get 21. Let's try making it the other way around. Trying to make this one. 20 minus 54, does that add to get me a positive 21? It does not, so we know that this can't be our choice. So we're just going to keep guessing, right? 1080 divided by, 26? Nah. What am I doing? 1080 divided by 28. Nope. 1080 divided by 25. Nah, I didn't think it would be. Well, we could have done 30 and 36, but I kind of looked at it and said, okay, there's no possible way that we could combine them to get a 21, so I know that that can't be right. 30 and 36. $40 and 27. 27, is there any way to get 21 from that? There is not. Divided by 36, 36, nope. Nope. 34, nope. 45, just for space purposes, I'm going to erase 45 and 24. So if I make this negative, right, negative 45 plus 24, that gets me a negative 21, which means I'm close to what I want, but it's not quite, right, because I want a positive 21. So what if I made this one the negative? Okay, 45 minus 24 gets me a positive 21, so we know that this is the right answer. So we put it in a set of parentheses, x plus 45, x minus 24. And we don't need to erase. So we originally multiplied by 10, so now we need to divide by 10. This does not come out to be a nice whole number. 45 divided by 10 gives me 4.5. So we need to reduce. Okay, we're going to reduce by, let's say, dividing both sides by 5. So we're going to get x plus, just to check my math, 9 over 2. And for this one, we're going to divide by what looks to be 2. Okay, we get x plus 12 over 5. Remember, we need to swing our denominators out in front, so this becomes 2x plus 9, and this becomes 5x plus 12. We believe this is the right answer. I shouldn't say we know. We believe this is the right answer, and we're going to check it by doing FOIL. So 2x times 5x gets me 10x squared. On the right track. Well, not x, n, whatever. We dropped the letters. Oh, outer 2x times 12 gets me 24x. I inner 9 times 5 gets me 45x. And last 9 times 12 gets me 108. Combine our middles and we get 10x squared plus, wait a minute. If we would have combined these middles, we would have got 69, and that's not what I want, so I know that I made a mistake. And I already found my mistake. I hope that you're all screaming at me going, Miss Urban, you're so dumb. What I noticed is here, remember, it's x minus 24. But somehow down here, I made it a positive, and that was my mistake. This should have been negative 12 over 5, which would have made this negative 12. Let's check it again. FOIL, 2x times 5x gets me 10x squared. 2x times negative 12 gets me negative 24x. 9 times 5 gets me positive 45x. 9 times 12, negative 12 gets me a negative 108. Combine my middles. Negative 24 plus 45 gets me 21. And that is what I had here. So I know this has to be my answer with the negative. Okay, so just to recap, it's okay to have large numbers. It's okay to have to take 5, 10 minutes on a problem. I am never going to time you out for tests, for quizzes, for any of this stuff. You are given as much time as possible to complete these problems. So just make sure that you are showing all of your work, and you are always going to get an answer like this, and you're not going to stop halfway through the problem.